He's still hollering though.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Why? Ain't nobody do nothing.
Why y'all doing that?
Ain't nobody do nothing.
He didn't do anything.
Hold on.
Nardo, just let them do what they gonna do. Hey, let them do what they gonna do.
I'm not resisting. Why you doing all that?
Nardo,
Why you doing all that, man?
and tell him
I'm not even
I'm just trying to calm him down.
Look,
I know. Listen. Nardo! Please! Please, can you just go tell him to stop? Nardo!
So wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Please stop. Please stop.
They didn't do anything. They were just here eating.
Please stop. I'm trying to help you out. How do you use force like that? Please, no, don't use force.
sit down, man.
Don't you about to sit down. He's about to sit down.
I'm finna sit down, man.
Please don't do it like that. Sit down.
Stop that!
You give him a taser!
No, don't use force like that.
They're gonna act like they're gonna shoot them for eating pancakes at the IHOP.
Right now!
Are y'all gonna shoot them? Are y'all gonna shoot them for eating pancakes at the IHOP? Y'all gonna shoot them?
No, please put a handcuff on him. Let's handcuff him, sir. Please.
Back up!
I ain't doing that.
Nardo!
Attacking me.
Nardo, stop! Nardo, stop! Record this.
I'm recording the whole game.
Lawsuit. Don't hit him. Don't hit him. Lawsuit. Don't hit him anymore. Lawsuit.
And I can't breathe, man.
Don't hit him. You can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
That video is from an IHOP, okay? And the man being arrested there, still trying to figure out why he's being arrested, right? Saying he's being wrongfully arrested and wrongfully charged. That was a couple of years ago. And basically he was in a situation now with these charges looming over him, and he's trying to get out from under them because they're illegitimate charges. And what does it take? How do you go from that happening to getting charges dismissed? Well, step one is you get a great attorney. And he did that. And he ended up in court on Friday, charges getting dismissed. Take a listen.
Through these several months, me and my family suffered financially, we suffered mentally, and we also suffered physically. On that night, I felt as though I was like less than nothing. And I've been had this feeling ever since then. And it's a deep wound. It's gonna take time to heal. But I'm glad we at this point right now. And I'm glad that, again, Judge Kel, David, Miss Joliet, I thank y'all for, looking deep into this and taking the time to investigate properly. And I really do appreciate that.
Getting emotional. I mean, this has been an experience that over the course of a couple of years. Again, charges now dismissed. And joining us live is Renardo Lewis, the man in that video, and his attorney, Sarah Flack, who's also a regular here on CourtTV. Great to see both of you. Renardo, let me start with you. Is it tough to watch that video again?
Yes, sir. Every time I see it, I tear up, and the night reoccurs in my mind every time I see it. So it's very hard.
For us that don't know the story, you're at an IHOP, okay? We've all been to IHOP, right?
Yes.
How did it go from I'm going to IHOP to I've got, I don't know, I count about 5 or so police officers pushing you in the ground and punching you in the head?
Well, I went there. Me and my wife, we both we are used to that IHOP because it's in the neighborhood of where we live at. So we went that night to get something to eat. We was going to take it to go, and when I entered, it took about 10 minutes, and I approached the guy who's I think his name was Joseph. I approached him, and you know, when I approached him, he started out by saying we was out of bacon, and I just kind of paused and kind of forgot about it because I was wondering why he said that, and I never asked for bacon. But anyway, I went back outside to see what my wife wanted to order. I came back inside. It was some more patrons in the area to order food also. And I took a seat. I waited on my turn about 10, 15 minutes. I then got up again, once again, speaking to Joseph. He then, when I approached him, he then said the grill was closed. So it went from we out of bacon to now the grill is closed. And I went to ask him, well, why didn't you tell me that, from the beginning instead of having me waiting? And, I think they had a long night. They said that they was pretty busy that night with prom and everything going on. So they was kind of on, pins and needles. I can understand because I also have a restaurant, but I also have to know that, it's customer service based. So, yeah, they was being a little rude, man, the whole night, and it started off with that, and it escalated, and the police was called, which I had no reason why. I didn't know why they was there. Of course, they was there for me, but meanwhile, I had no idea that they was there for me, and when they came in very aggressively towards me and my wife. And when they walked in, I was just standing at the door, because I was ready to go. And my wife was trying to get the numbers of the manager and human resources so that she can call it in, about the way they was reacting to us and the courtesy that they was not giving us.
So it comes down to it's a
mhm.
customer service issue. You got a customer
Yes.
service issue, and they call police. All right, Sarah, it takes years, but how do you go from, okay, that video, he's being arrested, he's being punched in the head, but then he's charged, right? He's got criminal charges against him. How difficult is it to get out from under those criminal charges?
Oh, Vinny, it has been a labor of love is not the right word, but for the past 21 months, we have been relentless. I mean, it started like you saw in that video. He was charged with 19 counts. They charged him with aggravated assault among some of these charges for allegedly strangling one of the officers in this video, which did not happen. They filed what's called a recidivist notice, which meant that if he were to be convicted, he would have had to serve every single day in prison up to 20 years. And that's where we started. And so it was a challenge for a while, but we've had some really, really meaningful conversations with the new DA and one of her assistant prosecutors. I have to hats off to them for listening to us and having deep conversations about many of the issues that you see in this case. And ultimately, just before Thanksgiving, we had a final conversation, and I was notified that they were going to, in fact, dismiss all of the counts in the indictment. So it was worth every single day of fighting this through because this was justice.
Well, let
like
me ask you
said,
about that, Sarah. Let me ask you, I mean, does it end here? What have police said about the conduct of the officers? And is there anything else that you're going to pursue here?
Well, that's what's been the most bizarre to me, Vinny, is there has been absolutely no give at all from the Marietta Police Department in terms of their officers' conduct. And look, I understand that officers have a job to do and they have to protect and serve. But what we saw here, there are many issues here. Number one, and we had a huge hearing on this back in January, an immunity motion, because the question always has been to me, what was the probable cause to arrest Mr. Lewis? At the moment where that officer takes him and throws him against the wall there. What was the probable cause? Because if they didn't have probable cause to arrest him, then in Georgia, Mr. Lewis was lawfully allowed to defend himself. So to the extent you think he was obstructing them or fighting back that arrest or resisting arrest, in Georgia, you have the right to resist an unlawful arrest, which was my argument at our immunity hearing in January.
Renardo, let me ask you, this was a horrible experience, right? And
Yes,
we
sir.
heard, I mean, financially, I mean, you don't get Sarah Flack for free. We understand that. You should. She's an incredible attorney. But
Awesome.
this horrible experience, have you taken anything positive away from it?
Of course. Through these last 21 months, I've gained a lot of patience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of strength. I've gained a closer relationship with God, you know, and that's how me and my family have gotten through this whole thing. You know, we prayed a lot. You know, they say that a family that prays together stays together, and we went to God with it. And you know, at some point, your hands has to be off, and God put us in the right places. He surrounded us with the right people. He brought the awesome lawyer, Miss Sarah Flack, to be in our presence to help to defend me and my family. And I think justice was served. I never thought that I did anything wrong. You know, on that night, me and another man, because we are both men first, you know, and we both want respect. And I thought time after time, what could I have done better, or what could I have done to change the circumstances from that night? And I just couldn't come up with anything. The only thing that I could have came up with is just shut up and close my mouth and say nothing. But that's not being a man and a citizen in the United States of America. Just because I'm a black man doesn't mean that I have to shut up and just listen. I have the same rights, the same freedom as everyone else in this country, and I deserve that. We pay taxes, we work every day. You know, me and my wife, we both have our own businesses. You know, we work hard for that. And in these last 20 years, that was our whole objective, to raise our kids, send them off to college, and just have them to do the right thing so they don't have to go through the things that I went through, or the things that my wife went through, or the things that other young men are going through, and women in the urban communities. You know, I grew up in that era. So you know, I know all about that.
Yeah.
And right now, you know, at my restaurant, that's what I try and go get young men, to get them out of trouble. To
Well,
come
here's my guess,
you know?
is that customer service at your restaurant is top notch, and you will take the
yes,
time
sir.
to listen to, and I appreciate it. Renardo Lewis, good luck with the restaurant, and
Thank you.
congratulations.
RC Southern Cooking.
Okay, excellent.
Yes,
Check
sir.
it out in Marietta, Vinny, anytime.
Awesome.
Yes,
Sarah
sir.
Flack, always great to see you, and both of you have a wonderful,
see you,
wonderful
Vinny.
holiday. And the best present of
Thank
all
you,
is
Miss
that
Sarah.
that
Thank you.
burden has been lifted, Renardo. We appreciate it.
So much weight.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all for having us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Yes, sir.
All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to bring in our law enforcement professionals. It's time for our Crime Time segment when we return.
The trauma that we kind of incurred, missing her and finding out that she was murdered, I can't even imagine another family going through that.
Welcome back. Time for our Crime Time segment. Let's introduce tonight's law enforcement experts. With us, former gang homicide detective Donald Schweitzer. Donald was a police officer for 10 years. He has investigated gang homicides as a detective, served as a member of the SWAT unit, and worked various narcotics assignments. Also with us, Chief of Staff for the Rockdale County Sheriff Department, K.D. Johnson. KD has 30 years of experience in law enforcement. He served in the Special Victims Unit, Gang Unit, and Intelligence Units before retiring as a precinct commander and then going back to work. All right, great to have you both back on the program. The first thing I want to do is we just interviewed this man who had all the criminal charges against him dismissed, but I want to take a look back at the police video where he's being arrested at the IHOP.
She was there the whole time.
Yeah.
She was there the whole time.
If he yell at me, I'm gonna yell back. He's a man just like I'm not done yet.
But can you talk? Can you just listen to me?
Okay, but don't grab me, sir. That's all I'm asking.
So I need you to, okay.
I'm listening. Don't grab me. I don't want to
I said,
see
sir, I need you to stop playing.
Why?
Will you let me finish so you can hear the whole? Will you let me finish so you can hear the whole conversation?
He's still hollering though.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Why? Ain't nobody do nothing.
Why y'all doing that?
Ain't nobody do nothing.
We didn't do anything.
Hold on.
Nardo, just let them do what they gonna do. Hey, let them do what they gonna do.
I'm not resisting. Why you doing all that?
Nardo,
Why you doing all that, man?
and tell him.
I'm not even
I'm just trying to calm him down.
Look,
Listen. Nardo! Please! Please, can you just go tell him to stop? Nardo!
So wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Don't you take all
sit down, man.
Don't you not to sit down. He about to sit down.
I'm finna sit down, man.
Don't you do it about to sit down.
Stop it! You give him a taser!
Nardo! Don't use please like that.
They're gonna act like they're gonna shoot him.
Nardo, stop! Nardo, stop! Oh, stop it! Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Please, don't hit him!
All right, here's the question. How did officers handle this situation? Donald Schweitzer, I'll start with you.
Vinny, I want to be fair and impartial to the officer just as much as I want to this man that was arrested. I think that we can't really make a conclusion until we know what the witnesses said to the police beforehand, and I'd want to hear the 911 call. But on its face, it doesn't look good. The officers can't detain people if there's a reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred or is about to occur. As you know, Vinny, you're an attorney. You could put your hands on people to detain them. But in this situation, if they thought that he was dangerous, they would have patted him down already. They probably would have had him sit on that seat. They would have done something. But it looked here that they were tired of talking to him. He was irate. He was confrontational with the cops, and they lost their patience, put their hands on him. And that's where the real sin would be if it comes to the point where they didn't really have any reason to believe he committed a crime. While he's on that ground and you've got multiple officers on top of him, at that point, the struggle's on. It's a wrestling match. And I can't say that the use of force was improper, but it really starts with when that officer put his hand on the man's arm and directed him to the wall. Was that reasonable? From the tape, it doesn't look like, but I'd want to be fair and impartial to the officers.
Absolutely, fair enough. KD, your reaction to what we just saw. And again, prosecutors have cleared him of any charges at this point, and it all started as a dispute between him and I guess one of the managers at the IHOP.
And these are things that, officers are routinely called to restaurants to settle civil situations. And oftentimes officers are put in a bad situation. From watching the video, this man was basically exercising his right as a citizen, asking to be treated the way the officers wanted to be treated. Why he was arrested, I'm still trying to figure that out because the officers put his hands on him. And like his attorney said earlier, he has a right to resist an unlawful arrest. I'm all for arresting people when they step out of line, but I struggle to concur with what these officers did in this situation. It's clearly a training situation.